हरि करना।
So, in our previous slides or videos, we have seen agile principles, agile methodology, and stages inside the agile. And we have discussed the advantages of agile and terminology of agile. So, now it's time to put agile principles into the practice. But how do you do? That's my question. How do you put agile principles into the action? For that we require some frameworks. If you want to use the agile principles and to apply it into your project, you need some frameworks. So basically we are going to discuss about those frameworks in this session, that is Scrum, Kanban, and ITL. So those are the frameworks we are going to discuss, and we'll begin with Scrum. So Agile, I call it as Agile Scrum framework. So Scrum framework, Ken Squaber and Jeff Sutherland created the Scrum approach, which provides a basic framework for working on big projects, fundamentally big projects. Agile software development approaches are iterative, which means the work is divided into iterations or sprints in Scrum's instance. Now we have come into the terminology of Scrum, that's called sprint. The every shortest cycle that we have said in agile methodology in our previous sessions are known as sprints in Scrum framework. So uh, Scrum is carried out by small groups of 7 to 9 persons who include a Scrum master and a product owner. So now let's look into the various roles in a Scrum. The Scrum team consists of three roles: a product owner, the development team, and a Scrum master. So let's talk about the product owner first. Owner of the product, what he does, who is he, what are his roles. So the main work of a product owner is creating an organizational vision. It is a representation of the business and marks the return on investment. And a product owner passes on the vision to the teams that are involved in that project, who are basically following the Agile Scrum framework. And the most important aspect of important responsibility of uh, a product owner is he the who takes the ownership of the backlog. What is backlog? We will look into that soon. And it makes market needs a priority. So it is the decision maker for the teams. He is the decision maker for the team. He, the one who mediates between the team and the customers to deliver the ultimate deliverables as per needs and on a timely basis. So the second one that we have is developer, the team for development. So here this team works completely a different way than compared to any other methodology that you have seen or I have seen. So it consists of a self-managed team. The team is self-managed, which does mean and the decision on the work front is taken mutually, and it is independent. The team is empowered to take its own decisions. This looks completely different from an orthodox project management uh, so-called framework. It's completely different than that. That's the reason it makes a huge difference in project success. Then we have uh, no designation. That means the team does not have any specific designation, and each member has the necessary skills to deliver the required work. And the final one is small teams. The development teams are ideally small sized with 5 to 9 members. And the last role, important role in a Scrum, is Scrum Master. So, who is Scrum Master? Scrum Master is a leader, coaches the teams on various aspects of Scrum Basic, guides Scrum Basic, and he the one who guides them on how to proceed on work front, and hence reaps the advantages of the Scrum. And a Scrum Master is the one who eliminates the obstacles. He helps the development teams in removing all the obstacles on the path of progress and help them evolve. And Scrum Master is the one who identifies ways to collaborate, facilitates the team with everything it needs to be able to deliver the ultimate product. And Scrum Master is the one who helps teams stay secure, ensures that no external factor can influence the team in any way. It seems Scrum Master has all the authority to do a lot of things. No, not at all. A big no. Scrum Master, he has his limitations. He takes care of lot of things, but there is no specific authoritative rhythmic uh, structure in Scrum. So everybody has to do their work. It's a flat organizational structural framework that has been built. That is a Scrum. Okay, nice. So now let's move on to the various artifacts of the Scrum. So documentation is the one which is used for the progress in work and not collaboration. So working software always measures this progress. Documentation in Scrum is only through four main artifacts, namely product backlog, or call it as a backlog of the product that we have just discussed. I have told you that we will discuss later. The documentation in Scrum is only through four main artifacts that I told you. That's the product backlog is the first one, and then sprint backlog, and increment and definition of then. These are the four important artifacts that we find in Scrum. So, what is product backlog? So, product backlog lists all the requirements needed to deliver products, basically a quality product, and it evolves as per the market needs. It is updated continuously. I think you're getting my point. A product backlog, if the customer comes up with a new requirements, then those requirements should also be added in product backlog. That's why I say product backlog evolves as per the market needs. It should be updated continuously. Fantastic. So now what is next? That's a backlog of the sprint. So a subset of the product backlog items and is meant to be finished off in one sprint. These are called backlog of the sprint. If you want to put it in a much simpler way, you have 10 backlogs of the product, out of which you will have your first sprint for this next 2 weeks. So out of which you take four or three backlogs, and you put it into this sprint. That means these three backlogs should be completed within these 2 weeks of this first sprint. Those are called backlog of the sprint. So items for this, items are divided into small chunks, and and focused on how to deliver work in a single sprint. Now it, and most important thing is, because of this backlog of the sprint or sprint backlog helps prioritize work as per the requirements of the customer and the final deliverable. It also helps teams to supervise the progress and ensure that goals are aligned with the project. And the third artifact that we can see is product increment. The work delivered at the end of the each sprint is called an increment. I think you got it. So out of 10 backlogs that we have, the product backlogs, out of which 3 are put into sprint 1, and after that, once once that sprint is completed, whatever backlogs, once the sprint is completed, whatever work has been delivered in that sprint, after that sprint is called as an increment. At the end of each iteration, we get a product increment, PI, that promises to deliver value and in the end, so we get our required product. So now the last artifact is what is done. What is done? So definition of done in a scrum means that it helps teams specify a work as done. This is how teams can estimate the extent to which the work has been completed. So once, if you go through the sequential from the product backlog to the sprint backlog, then it will become a product increment. Once after testing everything done, then it will comes under the done label. Done label. So in scrum, for done has a specific definition. So if it meets that requirements of done definition, your product, whatever the feature, that backlog that you want to build, that you want to deploy, that you want to complete it in that scrum, in that sprint, has been done. So now we will move into the different activities that these employees do in scrums. So activities in scrum. So scrum activities are performed in iterations and allow time for preparation as well as putting all the learnings into use. Scrum activities include product backlog refinement, sprint planning, daily scrum, sprint review, and sprint retrospective. I think most of you might have heard these words, sprint, daily scrum, sprint review, sprint retrospective, all those things, though you are not part of the IT team or you have never worked out. But these are very famous word. If you open YouTube or if you go to the Facebook, everywhere you'll find scrum training for within 10 days, 15 days. So these are most famous words that you might have heard. So let's decode these words. So the first one, the first activity that done by many of the employees who work, or that's the refinement of product backlog. What does it mean? It eliminates product backlog items that are not a priority anymore. That's the important. So you got the backlog of the product and a refinement whatever the product backlog you have. If it is not if it is not a priority, you could remove it. It includes the product backlog items that are not a priority anymore, and divides product backlog items into chunks based on priority, non-prioritized, medium prioritized. So based on that, and then we have a sprint planning, or we call it as a planning a sprint. We plan a sprint. So negotiates planning a sprint means it negotiates a product backlog items in the presence of the product owner. You have a product owner. Here you can see roles in a scrum. You have product owner, developer team, and then scrum master. This product owner, he negotiates out of the product backlog. Here you can see the product backlog. This product backlog or backlog of the product consists of the backlogs or list of all the requirements to be applied or to be done. So now, out of which a product owner negotiates and comes up with a few of the requirements, few of the requirements from the backlog, so that you can work on this sprint. That's called a sprint planning. So it enables a mature understanding of the work process, completes smaller items on a priority basis. Work is properly planned and completed. So now the most important thing that they discuss, the most important aspect of sprint planning is what is work to be done, what work is to be done, and how should that work to be identified. So these are the two things are important in sprint planning. And after that, what we have is a daily meeting of a scrum, or daily scrum. In a simple, in a shortest and sweetest way, we call a daily scrum meeting. Okay, so the daily scrum is a kind of meeting that is held every morning for a maximum of 15 minutes. This is also known as the daily stand-up meeting. So basically, this daily scrum is very famous with the name called stand-up, daily stand-up meeting. I'm not talking about stand-up comedy. So I'm talking about daily stand-up meeting. This is very important meeting. So it includes what was my contribution at work yesterday. So basically, in daily stand-up meeting or daily scrum meeting, what we discuss is we'll have all daily scrum master will be there, developer team, everybody will be there, and we'll convey that these are the things yesterday I have done, and today I'm gonna do this, and uh, or there have I faced any issues yesterday, or I'm gonna facing any challenges today. All those things are going to be discussed well within the team in front of the scrum master. Basically, scrum master is the one makes all these arrangements. He makes sure of conducting daily scrums, and he makes sure of everybody's attending and all process is going seamlessly. Okay, so then activity then what's next is a review of the sprint, or sprint review. So it is a sprint review. It's like a feedback of the product that allows us to uh, uh, know what's happening and what kind of deliverables have done till now. That's what it's a sprint review. So we have decided some backlogs out of the product backlog artifact. We want to do it in a sprint one. So now after the sprint review is the one maybe which we will have after 2 weeks, or after 2 weeks. Let's take an example. So in that case, we will discuss till now how much we have achieved, what we wanted to do. That's what we will discuss in sprint review. It's a proper illustration of the work process with an explanation of the features of the product. So basically, in sprint review, a meeting is called upon by the scrum master that is attended by the teams involved and all the stakeholders to discuss the product developed and the work process followed. That's our sprint review. Then the last activity, of course, it's not last. still. It's a sprint scrum analysis. It's a sprint retrospective scrum analysis. So what we do here, here the team review and inquire on what went well in terms of collaboration, planning, process, and tools. They find out the lacuna and help improve the process and the competency of the team members involved. So during it's a retrospective thing, like, but it's specific to sprint. It's not to the overall project. It's very specific to the sprint. Now in this, the plan and take firm stands on how to proceed from one sprint to another sprint. The team ensures that the entire work cycle till delivery is improvised upon each time. And the most important questions every team member needs to answer during the sprint retrospective uh, meeting or analysis is what we need to start doing, and what we need to stop doing, and what do we need to maintain doing. These are the questions they have to answer during the sprint reviews for the better working and better collaboration in in process planning and tools. So